voice over it. Listen. Okay, here we go. Hi, Alan. Okay, shut it down. As you can see, shine a light on that. Didn't want to show it back there. That's not good. Shine it over back here. So what do we have? 25, about 35 milliliters in 30 seconds, which is good. So we can recommend to this customer, we can either do a further test each injector individually with another tool that we have, or we would sell them a bank. Okay, again, this is Monty with MND Distributors on North Shepherd. Okay, here we go again. Now we're going to test the passenger side. And that fitting, like on the other side, it's located right here. Here's where you hook up your gauge, and right there. So we pull this hose off. Now, fuel is squirting out of here, so we run this hose into a bucket. But this is the hose. Can you shine your light on that? This is the return hose for this bank of injectors. We have it running in the bank into the bucket. So we're going to do the same test. You know, specifications tell you to ramp it to 17.4. This engine just makes 12,000 pounds. So we're going to ramp it up to 12,000, which is fine. And we're going to go ahead and check the return volume of the passenger bank. So let's get rigged up and we'll go right back to you. Okay, as you can see, we have it set up for testing. You can see where Alan capped that metal fitting on the return, and we've hooked up our own hose, fitting and hose, into the return side of these injectors on the driver's bank. And we've got it running into a bucket, a 5-gallon bucket right now. So what we're going to do, we're going to start this truck, and specification is ramp it up to 17.4, and the return flow should be no higher, now this is engine operating temperature, no higher than 72 millimeters in 30 seconds. Here in our shop we use 60 because we've had them getting close to the 72 and when we've had them come back. So if it approaches 60, then we go further in and test the injectors or sell them the injectors in that bank. So we're going to go ahead and crank the engine. Fabian's going to ramp it up as high as it'll go on this particular one. Let me see. I'll show you right here. Okay. We're going to go back to the fuel test. Special functions. Engine 2. Automatic. Special functions. Fuel system. Now, if it'll make 17.4, then go to 17.4, 17.5 in there. But this one won't make 17,000, so we're going to go as high as it will. So we're at 12, right? Okay. Now you can see the flow coming out of this injector side. Now I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to go past that. So Alan, look at the clock on the wall, and then give me 30 seconds measurement. Okay, as you go ahead and shut it off. As you can see, Then set that engine off. As you can see, we're way past our 60. So now it's probably close to 275 in 30 seconds, with 60 is your max in our shop. So we're going to go ahead and turn it off, and we're going to go ahead and check the other side. But already right now we know on the driver's side we've got some injector problems. And with that much flow, I'd sell them a bank. All right, so we're going to shut it off. We're going to set up the other side. Thank you. Okay, I just want to show you, go ahead and put that bracket, go ahead and put that glow plug control module where it usually sits. This truck, somebody has removed the glow plug module bracket and just has a module sitting right there. But I just want to tell you, normally you're going to have to take a bracket off to get to this next point. Now you see that metal fitting and that rubber hose right there he's pointing at? Now we're going to start checking the return out of this bank, this injectors on this whole bank. We're going to check the whole bank injector return flow right there. So we're going to go ahead and set our hose up, and then we'll get right back to you. Okay, this is Monty again. Now just to remind you, this is a 2005 Duramax, engine code 2. So we've hooked the hose up, and if you can see that, the return line on the pipe in the tubing on the engine we've capped, and on the fitting on the return rail, on the high pressure rail, we've hooked it to this fitting, and this fitting is the fuel that will, when the pop-off valve opens, or the over pressurized valve, or whatever what you want to call that valve, it's going to put fuel in this line. When it opens, it's going to dump fuel in this line. So we put this line in a bucket, a metering bucket. So what we're going to do is we're going to crank it up, and then I'm going to have Fabian bring it all the way up as much rail pressure it will make. Now I know this one makes 12,000 pounds, but if this is the one causing the low pressure, we'll see fuel in this metering bucket. So I'm going to go ahead. All right, Fabian, let's crank it up. Come where I can see better. All right, go ahead. Special functions, fuel system, fuel pressure control. Alright, take it all as far as it'll go. Go, go, go. Go, 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 go. You just keep going. Okay, let's see, you're past the 12. Alright, we're going to go back over here and see if we have anything coming out of our overflow valve or pop-off. As you can see, we don't have any fuel coming out of that valve. So we're going to call that valve at this time good. But once we get the other system up, whatever's causing this low rail pressure, let me say that again without the engine running. Go ahead and shut it off. Okay, right now we're going to call that overflow valve good, but remember it only makes 12,000 pounds. So after we repair this engine, we'll make 20-some thousand pounds, we're going to go back and retest that valve. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and hook it back up, and we'll go to another test. Thank you. Okay, all right, this is Monty again. Now we're underneath the hood, and the very first thing when you start working on these Duramax is you need to hook up this gauge. To be honest, if you don't own one of these gauges, you need to get one. If you're trying to work on one of these Duramax with that style of gauge, it's going to drive you nuts. So go ahead, Alan, let's hook it up. There's the port right there. Okay, that's in. Okay, Fabian, go ahead and start it. All right, now we're going to bring it up. Give me 2,500. Okay. All right, we don't have any restrictions. Go ahead and shut it off. I'm going to show you a trick here. Let's say you have a no start. So this will be a quickie. Hook this up, and remember it's a no start, and you've already checked it. There's no fuel pressure, no injection pressure. So I'm going to disable this truck, key off, to pretend that we have a no start. Okay, now we have a no start. Doesn't make any rail pressure. So there's a gear pump on the back of this high pressure pump, and if it's defective, it's not going to put any fuel into the high pressure pump. So a quick way to do that, to test that, is hook this up, find the hose, arrow out, if you can see that, arrow out, and we're going to squeeze that hose while Fabian cranks the engine, and we're going to check and make sure this pump has a good fuel supply pump, a gear pump. Okay, you got it squeezed? Fabian, go ahead and crank it. All right. Now, that just showed us that this gear pump's working, but if you have a no start condition and you do the same thing and you crank it and it doesn't pull a vacuum, then you need to put a high pressure pump on it. Okay, we've checked that. Let me show you something else. So, let me get the engine to start. Key off. Hang on. Crank it. Okay. Now we're going to do the same thing on this with a running engine, just to make sure that pump can pull good during running. Okay, there you go. That's plenty. Okay. Now the next thing we're going to do, since we're looking for basically a high pressure leak, the next thing we're going to check is the overflow valve, the pop off, right here. And see this hose? You can see that hose or not. Yeah, see that rubber hose? We're going to take that rubber hose off at the rail. Go ahead and shut it off. Again, with the engine not running, we're going to take this hose off at the rail. And when we do that, you're going to see a brass metal fitting sticking straight up. You hook a hose to that into a bucket and you cap the hose. And you start that engine, you ramp up the fuel pressure, and we're going to see if that pop-off valve is leaking through the metal fitting. So I'm going to go ahead and shut it off right now. We'll hook everything up and we'll get right back to you. Okay, while we're here, before we go further, we're going to show you a trick. And we're going to disable this engine to show that like a no start. Let's say you have a no start in your shop. So I'm going to go ahead and disable the fuel system. Key off. Key off? Okay. So I'm going to take this relay out, which is going to kill power to the FICM. And you're going to have your gauge hooked up. And we're pretending that this is a no start. So what we do, we come over here to the fuel filter. Now this one is easy to pinch, but we're going to pinch the hose right here. And even though this is an inlet, if you want to really test it, you can go further in and test this one. But we're going to go ahead and pull a vacuum through this. Because see what you're looking for, if you pinch this off on a no start, you should see that thing the pump pull a vacuum. If it doesn't pull a vacuum, stop. Your diagnosis is done. It needs a high pressure pump. So Alan is over there and he's pinching that hose off. Okay. Fabian, crank it. Hold it. Something ain't right. And while we're here, I'm going to show you guys a shortcut. When you have a no start engine, let me go back up. Okay, now we're back on the engine compartment. The first thing you're going to do on a Duramax is you're going to have to see if it has a restriction. And this is the tool that you have to work on these Duramaxes. If you guys don't have this, you're working on Duramax, it's going to frustrate you. All right, so we're going to go ahead and hook it up. There's the port right there. Okay, you got it on? All right. Now what we're going to do, you hold that for me, Alan. We're going to crank this engine up and we're going to run it to 2,500 RPMs and we're going to check that for a restriction. Go ahead. Okay, go ahead, down. Okay, so we don't have a restriction. So we're going to go ahead and shut this off, and we're going to go to the next step. Okay, here we go. This is the Tech 2, and we're just going to set it up real quick. Diagnostics, this is an 05. Light truck, Chevy, it's a C powertrain. This is an engine 2. 5-speed automatic. First we're going to go to the diagnostic code so you can see that. Diagnostic engine. Okay, glow plugs. That's not causing our low rail. There's your code. And that's the one we're going to start looking at today. And another one, glow plug. Now, they've been working on this engine, so these glow plugs codes may be just old codes, but this one is the one we're going to be concerned with. So right now we're going to go over to special functions, back out of this, go down to special functions. Let's go to fuel system, see if it's in there. There's fuel pressure control. You see that? Okay, there's your fuel pressure. We're going to start increasing it. And you should be able to hear that engine coming up. Okay, so we're demanding 23,000 pounds and it's only making 12,000. So we definitely have a leak somewhere. Now it's our job to go find it. So let me get out of this. And we're going to get back under the engine compartment and I'm going to show you some of the tests that we're going to make. And there she comes back down. I'm going to back out of it. Okay, thank you. Hi, I'm Monty with M&D Distributors on North Shepherd. Today we have a 2005 and it's throwing a code 1093 and it says fuel pressure low during power enrichment. So basically it probably has leaking injectors, but we're going to test it and show you guys how to do that. Now in this particular truck, it's already had a high pressure pump put on it and a FICM put on it, fuel injection control module for the injectors. So, but this one does run, and when it's hot, it will not make rail under the fuel test. And we're going to show you that right now on the Tech 2. Thank you. You turn it on.